This video is brought to you by DDAmanda, the #1 stock screener and scanner. Check her out. Okay, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about, purging the system and refilling it up with R134, but, they leave out a lot of steps and it's not clear, so I'm going to just cover everything. Alright, you need a set of gauges, and here's how these work. You see that pin in there? When you do this clockwise, which says open here, what it does is it pushes in this is like a tire valve, okay? It pushes that in and it opens this port. This is the low, this is the high port. There's two of them, okay? So when you do this clockwise, it says open here. What it's really doing is pushing down on that little tire valve and opening the system, okay? And when you do a counterclockwise, that pin retracts and it closes that little thing, and then it's closed. And the way these work is they got little ball bearings, so you pull up, set it down, and hopefully it will snap down in there, okay? And then you do this one, and like you leave them closed when you do it on, okay? Leave them closed, so they should be closed. In other words, that pin is retracted. Alright, okay. Now I've already vacuumed this one, so it's empty, but anyway, okay, so let's assume that you've already emptied it, you've taken it to a place that'll pull out the Freon and what have you, or it's empty because of a leak or whatever. So you fixed your leak. Maybe it was a hose, like I had a hose that was leaking right there, and I replaced that, and then I put the hose back on, and now I need to evacuate it, pull all the air out of it, and then be able to put refrigerant back in. Okay, so now we're going to open it, which means clockwise. So that pin's going to go down. It's going to open this valve. So that's going to be open, okay? This one's going to be open. Alright. These are both going to be closed. It's not clear to a lot, they don't make it clear. What this does, when you close this, is it closes this passage here, okay? It doesn't close this one. When you close this, this is still open from here to the valve, and it's showing you what the pressure is. The part that, when this says closed, is closing this part, not that part, okay? So these are both closed. Now if I open this, what that does is it'll actually open this passage. But right now they're both closed, and it's reading the pressure off of each side. And right now it's empty, so the pressure is 0, okay? Alright, that's part one. I'm going to shut this off and make sure the video came out, and then we're going to continue, okay? I hope that's all clear. Okay, and then when you open these, this passage opens each one, and what it does is connects to the yellow one. It lets the yellow one go to these two, okay? So this is just there's another little valve here too, but this is your yellow one that lets you access these two. So we're going to open both of these. They're both open, okay? And we're going to hook it up to a vacuum pump. I happen to have one right here. Alright, so we hook this up to the vacuum pump. And get it started. Okay, what I do, also make sure that you have a good oil level in here. See, that oil level is good. And what I like to do is open this, it's a little bleeder, before I turn it on. Make sure you pull that out. Alright, so now we've got this hose hooked to the vacuum pump. These are both open, okay? So now we can pull the vacuum through these two holes into the yellow hose and vacuum all the stuff out of here, because you don't want air or moisture inside the system. It's really not, it really screws it up. So that's why we vacuum it, so that the only thing inside the system is refrigerant, okay, the R134. And maybe I'll do this right now before I start the pump. What I'm going to do is explain how this thing works, okay? Down below there you have a compressor, okay? Coming out of I'm just going to go with what we can see here, okay? Coming out of the compressor is this hose here, which goes, this is your high pressure, okay, because it's coming out of the pump, so it's high pressure. This is coming out of the pump, going by this thing, and it goes to this condenser in here. Okay, that's your big, looks like a radiator in front. It goes through that condenser and comes back out. Okay, and what comes back out is a little tiny little thin line that you can see in there. You see the thin line right there? That goes into something called a thermal expansion valve, which lets just a little bit of, it's actually liquid when it comes up out of here. When it comes out of here, the high pressure makes it a liquid. It goes up and goes through something called the evaporator, which is inside your car, which is another one of these things, but it's real small, okay, and the air goes through it. So anyway, the thin line forces liquid through a little valve into this evaporator, and as it evaporates, it gets cold, okay? So the air is blowing through this cold screen, and then coming out of the other side of this screen, this what do you call it, radiator, evaporator, is that big line. You see the big line? Okay, and this big line also, this is the low side, okay? You see the low side? And that goes also into the compressor. It's suction, okay? So the compressor is sucking here and pushing out here, okay? So low pressure, high pressure. And that's how the whole thing works. That's how an AC works. You can, look at it some more. But anyway, we're ready to go. We got open, okay? We've got the bleeder open here. We're going to turn on the pump. It's real loud. I can find the switch. There it is. Hey, it helps to plug it in, kids. See, nobody explains this stuff. Alright, so right now it's blowing out here, right? But there's not a lot of strain on it, so now I'm going to close this bleeder. Okay? Listen to it sound different. Okay, now it's sucking. See, it already sucked it down. Okay? See how this one's negative? This side is 0. And this one's down to about 28. Okay, so these are both open. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this for a half hour to 45 minutes. And it'll slowly suck every little bit out, okay? And give us a vacuum. Almost lost this. Alright. So we're going to do that. And then we'll come back and we'll continue. But this is good information. This explains everything to you guys, alright? Alright, good. Okay, it's been about a half hour. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to close this. Okay, we're going to close this. Okay, now our system, these have shut off. So now our system is just from here to there, down to the system. And now I'm going to open this bleeder a little bit to take the suction off of it and shut off the pump. Alright. Now here's one thing that most guys they don't address this. Okay, so we're going to disconnect the vacuum pump, right? Well, guess what's going to happen? Air is going to get sucked right up into this because this was under a vacuum, right? So now there's air in here. You get it? Alright, let's put the pump away. Put the pump away. Now we're going to get ready to fill it up. Let me get a can. I got 2 cans. And you need one of these guys. This is called a can to hose adapter. So we're just gonna, by the way, it's the same principle here. You gotta do this counterclockwise. You don't want that pin to, there's a little thing in here that drives this pin through, so have it all the way up counterclockwise, okay? Counterclockwise. So then screw this on here and screw the can on there. Alright, now remember that we have air in this yellow line. Now I got something else here that you guys are going to love. This is my little stand here. because we're going to need this. So I'm going to go get a scale. But anyway, we're ready to put the first can in. Now this is a 12-ounce can, but I think we're going to weigh it anyway. Well, it doesn't matter, because I'm thinking that there's probably going to be at least an ounce or a half ounce in this hose. So what we do is, there it is, a little bleeder. Okay, so I'm going to open this can by going clockwise to drive the pin down. Okay, now that's open, but it can't go nowhere because these are both closed, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to purge the air out of here by pushing this on this. Okay, just going to push on this. Push on it. There. Don't breathe that. Okay, now there's nothing but Freon or refrigerant in there now, okay? And now what we can do is this needs to go somewhere. Okay, so now we can open the low side, okay? Just gonna open this. Okay, so now we got fluid, maybe vapor. Sometimes you need to do this when it gets cold. But at this point you need to start the car and turn the AC on, okay? So let's do that. We'll turn the AC on max. The fan on max.
Interference detection.
And we're going to feed this whole can in there. There it goes. See it going in? And this can will get cold. See, we got high pressure already, so some of this fluid has already made it through the system and it's gone through the compressor. But this can will get cold, and we just want to feed the whole can in, because this calls for, up here you can see what it calls for, between 13 and 14 ounces, and this is 12. So we could do the whole can in here. And I'm thinking that there will be maybe an ounce left in here, I don't know, you know. But see, it's all going in now. You'll be able to feel when it's empty. And you can see it go through the side glass here too, the little liquid bubbling through. Now here's the deal though, what I just discovered is I have a bad hose. This hose is collapsing under suction, so I need to replace that. And I just found out, and I'm already in the middle of this video and doing all this, so guess what? I'm just going to keep going. But look at that. I got zero I'm starting to pull a vacuum here because this hose isn't letting the fluid go down to the pump, you know. Yeah, there goes a little bit. And the other thing that might be wrong with this, I don't know, but it doesn't really affect anything as far as the video is concerned. I may have a bad expansion valve too. But anyway, this is what you guys will be doing. This is how you do it, which is the important part. It's not going to be right. You're still going to have a problem. So I might as well quit this. But I'm going to go through the motions of finishing this video and so that you guys will know what to do. Okay, let's assume that that we have a low pressure, okay? That we don't have screwed up this shit, which if this hose was fixed, and I had a good expansion valve, which I don't think I do. I think I've got a bad expansion valve. Then you should be able, you'd be seeing pressure here, okay? All right, let's cut this off. Okay, I just shut off the AC, and what's happening is these pressures are starting to equalize, and the only way they can do that is through the expansion valve. So I think my expansion valve is okay. You see, this one's at 120 or something, and this one's climbing back up. It should take it a minute or so, a couple minutes, and they'll both be equal. This will be like way down here, and this will be here, but they'll be equal. And the only place they can do that is through the expansion valve. So if the expansion valve must be halfway decent, because otherwise, if there was a restriction, it wouldn't be able to do that. It would just sit down here, right? Okay, well, let's just continue. Let's just assume that everything was working fine. So what you want to do then is you want to close this one, okay? Close this can. All 12 ounces went in, pretty much, okay? Alright, yeah, this is empty. So then you get a new can, okay? Screw it on here, alright? And you weigh it. Damn this hose. In fact, let me give the new can, but I'm not gonna open it. Okay, let's close this again. This weighs a little bit. Okay, so put this on. So what you would do is, I need between 13 and 14 ounces, right? See, look at that, it's equalizing. Between 13.1 and 14.5. So what you do is you weigh this, okay? So this is at 1 pound, 3.4 ounces. So I need to get rid of in fact, look at this. This is about exactly what I need. So what I would do is I would open this, okay? And, or leave it open. Yeah, but open this. Well, this is still open. Doesn't matter. Wait, did I close this? Yeah, I closed these, okay, after I got all the can in. I closed them. So now I've got this can. It'll still have Freon in it, even though, because I didn't open this, okay? I just changed cans. So everything still has God, refrigerant in it. And this has 3 point. So what I would do then is I would close. This is closed. I would open this, okay, and then open this until this weighs 3 ounces less, okay, and then that'll mean that I have the right amount of refrigerant in the system. All right. Man, I hope that's clear. So you put one can in, and then close these. All right. Or close this one. This one's already closed. Close it. Take the old can off, put the new can on, set it on your scale, and then open this can, which is still closed. Open this can, and then open this until the weight, and you'll see the weight go down here until another 3 ounces goes in. Because there's probably an ounce left in this hose, you know. So I had 12, so maybe 11 ounces went in. 12, 13, 14, that'll be it. Alright, guys? Okay, I hope that was all clear, and I hope that answered some questions and cleared up some things about, you know, these AC systems. Yeah, I've got a problem with this hose. I gotta replace that. Luckily, I got a fitting right there. So I gotta go to Rock Auto, and I'll have to evacuate the whole system again. Alright kids, that's it. Onward and upward. Okay, I think I can show you guys how this, you see the high pressure side? High pressure side's going into that thing right there. There's that condenser. It's coming in right there. And at the bottom it's coming out. You see that? The little line? And that little line is the line that goes all the way back there and goes into there. Going into the expansion valve. And it comes out of there, goes to this the low pressure, goes down to the compressor, comes out of the compressor here, comes back, and there's the whole system. Everybody that tries DDAmanda absolutely loves her. These are all unsolicited, by the way. We didn't even ask people. I love you guys. Yeah, I love the program. So worth it. Probably made 500K. This guy's up 30K. Having everything I need to research on one page is definite time saver. Single day, 1525 profit. 15K on my first DD. Look at this guy. I don't know what to think about this one, man. This guy says he made 30 million. Read this shit. I don't know. He sounds kind of legit. I fucking love DDAmanda. Your program is the best tool I've ever used in the last 21 years. It just goes on and on. DDAmanda is the #1 stock screener and scanner. This is how we're finding these winners early, guys. Simple to use by total beginners. Got advanced features for professional traders. So check her out, DDAmanda.com.